guys, welcome back to the channel. It is now July and we are now in full swing for the summer 2021 anime season, but in this video we're going to take a look back to the spring 2021 anime season because there's so much good stuff actually, and this list was pretty hard to make. In this video I'll be discussing my personal top 5 favorite anime of the spring 2021 season. Now, to be clear, on these lists, I'm not going to mention anime that has not exactly finished airing its full first season. For example, I know like Tokyo Revengers is probably still going, and To Your Eternity and stuff like that. Shaman King as a remake is still airing too, like there's still episodes being put out, so I'm not going to mention anything that doesn't have like a solid completed first season. If anything, I will mention those in the summer 2021 video. I will mention season 2s if they come up, but I will let you know that I have not yet watched season 2 of Zombieland Saga, even though it was one of my most anticipated anime of the year, and that's just because eventually I am going to go down to Saga Prefecture where the anime takes place, and I'm going to do a whole video there, so I want to make sure that season 2 is like fresh in my mind before I go there, so I'm holding off on watching that, so that will not be on the list, but it may have easily been because I've heard really good things. And I decided to this video to not actually give honorable mentions because there's just like so much anime that I watched this season and so many good things, and I just feel like the bigger my list is, the more anime people can pick out, like, oh, why didn't you mention this, why didn't you mention that, and that's just going to completely stress me out. There's a lot of anime that aired and I watched quite a bit, and I really had to narrow it down to just 5 that I personally enjoyed the most. This doesn't mean that these are like the best anime that came out of the season, but they were ones that I really enjoyed personally. So without further ado, and without any honorable mentions, as hard as that is, starting with number 5 is Yakunara no Mug Cup Mo. This is also known as Let's Make a Mug Cup 2 in English, and this anime takes place in Gifu Prefecture, in a town where ceramics and pottery is very popular. There's a lot of museums and a lot of places to go and make pottery, and so this anime studio decided to basically make an anime around advertising tourism in that area. And we've seen this in anime a lot before, where wherever this anime like takes place, they really try to like push tourism in that place, because I think in Japan anime tourism is working. At least for me, I go to places that I see featured in anime all the time. And so this show is, I want to say no different, but it actually is different, and I'll get to why it's so special in a minute. You have these high school girls who have like a ceramics club or a pottery club at school, and you have like the main character who like gets into it and falls in love with it, and then you also have characters who are like super good at it and then like teach this character that. It's one of those shows, like cute moe girls doing very niche things. Really what I loved the most about this show was the extra episodes that they would have after like each normal regular anime episode. And what I mean by that is like after episode 1, like the 14 minutes, you could go to like, at least on Crunchyroll, it's a whole different VOD, or you'd click on it and it would actually be a live action thing, or like an actual real thing, where they would go to the city that's in the anime, go to Gifu Prefecture, and take the actual anime voice actors that voice act the girls in the show, and they would go to places that are seen in the show, and the voice actors would try out pottery and go to the museums and stuff like that. And I think that was such a cool thing, like such a cool idea to do for an anime that's specifically trying to market tourism in this place. It was just really cool to watch the anime and then watch the voice actors in real life go to these places and try out the things. Like honestly, I want to say that I enjoyed those real life moments, those real life VODs, even over the anime. I think that's actually what made it feel special and made me really want to keep watching it. So yeah, this anime has definitely made me want to visit Gifu Prefecture, even though like pottery is not really my thing. Something about anime just sometimes really gets you into niche things that you never thought you would get into before. And yeah, Mug Cup really does that. Number 4 has a really long title, so I'm gonna read it off my computer in Japanese. Slime TAOSHITE 300年 SHIRANAI UCHI に level max に NATTEMASHITA. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. You can probably already guess what this show is about. This show I knew I was looking forward to. This is like the kind of stuff that I'm either like super into or I'm not. It is another isekai anime, so another transfer to a world anime. Main character Azusa actually passes away in her real life due to overworking, and if you know anything about Japanese business, or Japanese work culture, it is a very overworked society, and so she actually passes away due to severe exhaustion due to working too much. And when she dies, she actually gets isekai'd to one of those typical worlds, like an MMO style fantasy world, and she ends up building a life there, and she, for 300 years, kills slimes every single day for 300 years. She maxes out her level. Usually I'm pretty reserved on isekai because I feel like they can either be pretty good or very, very bad. But this was one that I super enjoyed. I kind of liked its comedy and I liked its relaxing tone. And even though the show throws a bunch of characters at you, like each episode kind of introduces a new character that somehow ends up living with Azusa in her home, I ended up actually liking all the characters. And sometimes I don't like when characters are thrown at you that fast. I really like to know each individual character. I didn't feel overwhelmed with these characters for some reason. As I said, the comedy's really good. It's very relaxing. It was just like a happy-go-lucky show to watch. Maybe after watching something dark like 86 this season, like after watching that, maybe wanting to watch something more light. It was just an easy watch, and I really love that kind of stuff. It kind of restored my faith ever so slightly in the isekai genre. I know that we're super saturated in the isekai genre right now, but this show, I think, gave me a little bit more hope for it. Number 3 is BAKUTEN, also known as Backflip. Now, I'm going to say something where people are going to be like, oh, you're just saying that to be cool or niche or gatekeep, and I promise this is not why. But Bakuten takes place in Miyagi Prefecture, in the city of Natori, and I used to live like right in Natori basically. Like I lived on the south side of Sendai in Miyagi Prefecture, and because of that, I was interested in this show. Now this show is basically men's high school men's gymnastics, so it is a sports anime. And there's a lot of jokes in the show that relate to that region of Japan, like Tohoku Prefecture, or the Tohoku region, Miyagi Prefecture, Sendai City. So like Zunda shakes and Datemasamune, and just like making fun of people from Aomori and stuff like that. Like really, like stuff that jokes I would have never understood in the show, even though they are translated. I never would have understood had I never lived in the Tohoku region, so I could get how people wouldn't really like be into the comedy as much in the show. It's not only like Sendai and Tohoku specific comedy, there's a lot of other comedy in there as well, but there are jokes in here that I feel like could go over people's heads if they never visited that region of Japan. But I even loved this anime like outside of that aspect. I thought I was only watching this anime for the Sendai and Miyagi Prefecture stuff, but really I ended up falling in love with it. And usually like sports anime can be a hit or miss for me, and this was definitely a hit, I think. Men's gymnastics, the CGI is actually really well done. Like there's a good mix of CGI and regular animation when it comes to the gym performances in the anime, and I think that as sometimes I'm not like too into fully diving into CGI, I think that this anime made me more hopeful for kind of sneaking that into anime more and more. The show did have me on the edge of my seat. It does have sport tropes, but if you're into that, this will be for you. I'm really hoping for another season. There is an anime movie coming out in Japan. I'll definitely be seeing that when it comes out. So yeah, that's crazy. It's like last season there was a sports anime that made my top 10 list, and this season there was a sports anime that made my top list. I never would have thought, but Bakuten was just so well paced, so well done. I really enjoyed it. Oh man, the next one I don't even want to talk too much about because there's so much in this next show that you just need to watch. Number 2 is Odd Taxi. Like, wow, this show completely just blew me out of the water. I was shocked how much I loved it. Odd Taxi, okay, take Durarara and take B-stars and put them together. Maybe that's not completely correct, but the main characters are, they're animals, they're mammals, and which is kind of like a little bit, there's some B-stars ideas in there, and then Durarara, where like you have all of these different stories all over Tokyo, and somehow they all merge together. And Odd Taxi, it felt so Japanese, it felt so Tokyo. Like if you've ever been to Tokyo and then you watch Odd Taxi, there's just it depicts Tokyo so well, and I think it depicts aspects of Japanese culture well, like whether that being an otaku or being a worker, or even like being a police officer or a doctor or whatever. Like it just depicts so many really interesting things in Japan that's just like, if you're a fan of Japanese, like modern Japanese culture, this will be for you. It's got like the idols, it's got people who are like obsessed with idols and different like otaku and stuff, and like just basically how all of that merges together. It's so good, and I don't want to go on it for too long because I think it's something that I can't explain to you. It's just something that's going to have to be watched. It's basically about a walrus who drives a taxi. I'm not going any further than that. I think it might have been the top rated anime, like on my anime list. I think it's like an 8.7 or something like that. That is huge. A lot of people loved it. I would definitely give it a chance. And my number 1 top anime of the season, this really shouldn't come off as, I think, as too much of a surprise, knowing that this specific genre is my favorite genre. Number 1 is Super Cub, and when I originally saw the promotional video for this, it really seemed like, oh, it's like trying to sell Honda scooters and motorbikes and stuff like that. It looked like a promotional video for Honda in Japan, like a commercial or something. But it's actually based off a light novel, and it's basically follows this girl who, she doesn't have parents. It's like her parents maybe died when she was young, and she lives alone. She doesn't really have a lot of money, and she is trying to just make her way in life as a high school student, and she bikes to school and she just sees people like speeding past her on like scooters and motorbikes and stuff. She's like, I want to buy one. So she goes and she buys a Super Cub, which is a type of bike that's like made by Honda. It's popular in Japan, and she ends up kind of like opening a new door in her life to pick up a new hobby, which is like riding bikes and taking care of them and traveling more, like actually leaving your town for maybe like the first time ever. She ends up making friends who are like Super Cub or like Hunter Cub. You'll learn a lot about motorbikes and brands and stuff if you watch this anime. But she just ends up learning so much about them, and I learned so much about them, and something about this anime was so just relaxing and also motivating, and I love travel so much, and this like depicts travel, and like it takes place in Yamanashi Prefecture, so you'll like see Mount Fuji, and like there's a whole Mount Fuji episode too, and it's just, it was presented really well, and this anime is just like right up my alley with genre. Like I can see people maybe not liking this anime all that much, maybe it's not for them. It was rated a 7.5 on my anime list, and personally to me, I rated it like 9 out of 10 for me. But again, like I just love shows like Yuru Camp. It really reminds me of like Yuru Camp. But maybe a little more serious and not as moe as that. I think it's a much more realistic take on things, but yeah, definitely my favorite of the season. I would love to see more of it, honestly, but it didn't really leave anything open, I think, at the end, so I'll be happy if this is all we get from Super Cub. Also, the anime does have a little bit of CGI when it comes to them riding on their scooters and stuff, but it's done very well. Sometimes you don't even notice it. So I think this season, as far as CGI is concerned, there's definitely been some wins and some losses, but overall I'm pretty impressed. Alright guys, that is the video. That's all I have to say. Those are the top 5 anime. If I left out your favorite anime, let me know what you enjoyed. I did watch a lot of other things, but unfortunately I do have to narrow the list down to make a top 5. Anyway, I'm going to now start anime for the summer 2021 season, and I'm so excited. There's so much this season as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe for more anime and Japan adventures. Let me know what your favorite anime this season was and what you're gonna watch this season. Bye!